Hey, what's up guys? I'm RJ the Computer Doctor back with another video. So in this video, I'm going to be going over my journey on trying to find a tech job in 2025 with a PhD in computer science. So I actually started looking for jobs in November 2024 and I finished my PhD in December 2024, and it took me 7 months to find a job in tech. So I'm working as a AI research engineer at the University of Hawaii, and I'm also working as an AI engineer at a startup. And the reason why I'm making this video is just to give you guys some insight, those people who are trying to find a job in tech, maybe you're just graduating. So in this video, I just go over some of the problems that I encountered and give you guys some tips on how you can fast track your journey on trying to find a tech job, also to share my story and to show you guys that it's pretty tough right now and you're not alone. So if you guys keep going at it, then you'll be able to land your dream job in tech too. So stay tuned and hope you guys enjoy the video. This is the title, Job Hunting and What I've Learned, and I have this little meme here talking about entry-level jobs. It seemed like to me, at least when I was looking for jobs on LinkedIn and Indeed, that a lot of the entry-level jobs required some years of experience. Some of the entry-level jobs that I applied to and I interviewed for were already looking for hard skills of using tools out there that I think that you would probably learn during the job. During your academic studies, maybe I should have been trying to learn the tools more, learn of what everybody's using, rather than just only learning about the theory and what they teach you in school. I guess that's something that if you're a student in school, you're going through computer science and you're going to be set and you're learning all the material from the teachers, it's also good to just dive into industry, especially if you're wanting to go into industry. It's good to learn what tools industry professionals are using so you can learn them. Okay, so during that time, I guess I was trying to find some reason why I'm not getting a job. These were just some articles that were published on the job market for tech jobs, and there was this huge uproar with AI taking over entry-level jobs. And there was this moment in 2022 when that pandemic happened, and then it seemed like the tech jobs, because everybody was working from home, it was pretty resilient in the job market. At least for getting tech jobs, it was resilient because people were finding jobs. And it seemed like after the pandemic, the desire or for the need for tech jobs, it seemed like it was decreasing as the years went by. Sorry, this is a pretty busy screen here. Just starting for some quotes. So my stepdad in 2017, this is what he told me a long time ago. He said, remember, just because you have your degree, it doesn't mean shit when you go out into work in the industry. You need to have those hard skills in order to find a job, because you have to prove to the person that's hiring you that you can actually do the job. And I also had a friend who went to interview at Amazon, and he was like super smart. And at the time, he read the whole entire algorithms book. So all of you who are software engineers, who, you know what book I'm talking about, maybe I can put the book on screen for everyone to see. But that's the holy grail of algorithms that you need to know for all the FANG companies. And he also read the Cracking the Coding interview, and he applied to over 100 jobs. So that was back in 2020. He applied to over 100 jobs. That to me at the time, that's ridiculous. That seemed like a lot of jobs to interview, to apply to. Some of these on the right here, you can see that these are the number of jobs I've applied to. So I think this was from LinkedIn. I've applied to over 1,000 jobs. So this was from the time of November to June or July. So maybe like 8 months. I applied to over 1,000 jobs. And Indeed, it only shows 99 here, but I've also applied to maybe over 500 jobs. I've applied to more LinkedIn jobs. And some of these I was mass applying. I did everything that you would probably find on the internet, and it took me a long time to find a job. And you see here I got a lot of rejections, and on the left here are all the jobs I was applying to. So anything from full stack engineer, software engineer, UX, research scientist, front end, back end, anything that had to do with coding. And again, I have a PhD in computer science. If you have a PhD in this area, you would think you would get a slam dunk of getting a job. And I applied to senior level roles, mid, entry, and intern. Okay, so this was just a quick little viz that I made. This pink portion here are just like the 2,000 jobs I applied to. I think these numbers are a bit wrong, but it's around the same ballpark of what happened. The jobs that I got referrals to, I always got an interview. Some of the jobs I applied to, I've gotten online assessments, so maybe 10 of them. And then a few of them, maybe, I guess this means it was 15. I forget what I meant at the time. But maybe this says like I got around 30 interviews. And so out of those first interviews, I went to the second interview, which was 3 of them. And one of those interviews, I got to a third interview, and most of those got rejected. They all got rejected except one. And this job, it was actually through a referral, and I went through 2 interviews, and the offer was, it was a startup with equity. So I didn't accept the job because I needed money at the time. I needed a paying job. I didn't have a preference of working at a startup or a corporate job, but I just needed to get paid because I needed to pay my rent. And then this stops at June, but I've also had multiple interviews after this, which it got through the first interview, some to the second interview, and I ended up getting a job through one of these referrals. And I'm working, so I got a job through a referral, and I'm working as an AI engineer at Research Cyber Infrastructure back at the university. And I really like my job. It's with AI and research. I'm also working from home, so it's a pretty chill job. And I also have another job as an AI engineer with a startup. So I'm 2 jobs, and I'm also starting this YouTube channel. Okay. And these were just some examples showing I'm not the only one getting these kinds of results. It seemed like on Reddit, they're applying to over 100 jobs, and they're all getting rejected. Here's another one. So the main point of this slide is to apply to more jobs than you think you need. Because, so if you apply to a lot of jobs, the worst thing that could happen is that they'll just reject you. And the best case scenario is that you will actually get an interview. And even if it's not a job that you would want, this also helps with networking, getting to know these recruiters that are calling you. It might give you a position where you could get into other positions within the company. I have another friend who does some contract work with NVIDIA to do AI prompting. And I believe because he's working with that contract job, he pushed into NVIDIA doing code. Applying to a lot of jobs, you'll go through the interview process. And if it's a job that you're not going to like, it gives you some practice on preparing for the interview, going through all the steps, seeing what it's like. And then in the future, you'll be much more prepared when you go in those interviews. Okay, so just apply to more jobs than you think. This is just talking about how did I apply. So I did a mass apply for LinkedIn, Indeed. Sometimes I went to the company website. I tailored every resume for my job sometimes, the ones that I really wanted. I sent cold DMs to recruiters saying if they had any positions open. I followed up with them every 3-4 days. And here are just some results. Oh, I do have my resume on here. So here's just a little snippet of my resume. I have my executive summary. I have all the skills that I've learned working in the laboratory, and I have my education listed here. I had all my work experience listed and all my publications on there, which I put 4 of them as first author, and then I had other publications. So my resume wasn't that bad. I've also sent my resume to some recruiters, and they messaged me saying that my resume is actually really strong. So I don't know if it's because I have a PhD in computer science, and that might scare off some recruiters because they think that they have to pay me more in order to keep me for working with them. I don't know. I also have other friends who graduated the same time as me, and 7 months later they still don't have a job either. These were just key findings. So mass supply, I would say if you're trying to find a job, you can make a general resume and you can apply to all those jobs to get practice on getting those interviews. And I didn't find a difference between LinkedIn, Indeed, or going through a company website. It seemed like they were all the same, a lot of rejections. I would say when you're trying to find those jobs, you have sort those websites, those job boards by date. So then you can see the fresh jobs that were listed. And there's another thing you can do. You can look for jobs that are less than 10 applicants, because sometimes I've seen a lot of these people will open up their job, they'll open up their application and then they'll cap it to maybe 50 or 100, because I think on LinkedIn at least you pay for every person who applies. I think that's what I heard from another CEO of a company. For tailoring your resume for the job, I would say you only do this for big tech companies. If you have time to do it for these other job boards, by all means, it doesn't hurt to do, but it's going to take up a lot of time for you to try and do that for every single job. And I think it will only be worth it for those big tech companies because they pay a lot more. You could cold DM recruiters. Yeah, I didn't have good results from this. Yeah, so if you message these recruiters, chances are if the job isn't on their LinkedIn, then they don't have a job open. But it might be good to just introduce yourself to these recruiters. In the future, when some jobs do open up, they could message you. Sometimes I experience the recruiters that I've dealt with, I can't really complain because they probably have a lot of people who are messaging them every day and they have to keep track of a lot of people. So they're probably working very hard and they can't keep track of everything. Keep improving your resumes. My first resume was not my last. Every month or so, I did some optimizations. I changed some stuff on my resume. I didn't keep track of what was working, what wasn't. That would have been good data to have. So just keep trying to improve your resume, see what's working, see what's not working. Maybe you can get some feedback from some recruiters or other people who are hiring if your resume looks good. Okay, and another thing is to be aware of these scams. So there's a good tell is that this person emailed me and CC'd a whole bunch of people on this email, and it doesn't even have my name on there. This is just screaming scam. If I were to click on this, it would have probably, I don't know what you could do through a link in emails. I think I had a lot of emails from Nogam Tech. Maybe it's this part here where it was sent through another email. That's usually not there. Yeah, just be very wary. If the CEO uses Comic Sans, then that's your 2 weeks notice. Don't get scammed. If the job includes mandatory training, read the fine print. So yeah, there's also like jobs where they're saying that you need to do training, and in order for you to do the training, you have to pay a fee first before you get the job. Don't get scammed. If the recruiter's LinkedIn has no face, neither will your paycheck. The funny one. Don't get scammed. If the company name sounds made up, it probably is. Don't get scammed. They said growth opportunity. They meant their pyramid screen. Don't get scammed. Always check the email domain at totallyrealcompany.biz. Yeah, so yeah, keep a note of these tips. So these were some of the companies that were available. And at this time, I was learning about businesses, corporate jobs, and I didn't know anything about this. But startup, I thought was just a startup. But there's actually different stages of a startup. There's pre-seed, seed. You go through series A, B, and C. The jobs, they were, what I was looking at, it was around 60K and equity. There were some jobs that were paying like 6 figures. There were also jobs that were paying at later stages, like A, maybe B, that were paying like 150 plus. The workload associated with those startups, it could be unpredictable. The startup that I'm working at, I pretty much clock in whenever I want, but I have the manager role where I have a software engineer who I am giving directions to, because I already have a full-time job and they don't. And I have a little bit greater understanding of how to code and how to set up a website and stuff. Big tech companies pay a lot. I think the lowest I saw was 140, and they'll go up to $500,000, sometimes $1 million with, and the workload for them is typically high, very demanding. They'll set deadlines that you probably can't meet, and it's very high pressure. Some jobs in Hawaii, I put the workload Hawaii because there was something funny I got from a recruiter saying that jobs in Hawaii. So I assume she was meaning that these jobs are pretty laid back. And they were actually offering me a job and they were giving me $60K, which was too low for what I wanted. And I was trying to ask for more, but they said that in Hawaii, you won't get high-paying tech jobs. And also corporations, they'll pay like around 80 to 120, and everything that you do in that company is typically very structured. You only get one role, you do this one thing, whereas somewhere in a startup, you're working on everything. So the startup I'm working for, I'm doing ops, front end, back end, the whole stack, also doing research. I'm also managing, but in the beginning it was a lot, but now that we have another software engineer on the team, I can take more of a manager role, give some directions, and also help out whenever I'm available. And yeah, apply to all of these jobs. At least I'm from Hawaii, so you apply locally wherever you are and wherever you want to live. Okay, so this is the interview prep. So a lot of the times you'll get online assessments. So some jobs that you apply to, if they give you an online assessment as your first interview, I wouldn't even waste your time trying hard to prepare for it. I would probably just look at the questions just to know what kinds of questions you're asking. I didn't have any luck with any of these online assessments. And if I didn't meet anyone from the job or any recruiters, then I don't want to waste my time with it, because there's a lot of other things that I could spend my time on, which is actually studying for these interviews or applying to more coding. So leak code questions, in my experience, the FANG companies, the big tech companies, they'll quiz you hard on these leak code questions. And a really good resource that I recommend is LeetCode, and I've solved over 100 problems on LeetCode. A lot of these times I'm just solving the same problems over and over. I've went through all the different patterns for solving LeetCode. If you want to learn more, you just search up LeetCode on YouTube, and he has all of these tutorials on solving these LeetCode questions. So moving on, behavioral, all of these interviews that you're going to go through, there's going to be some type of behavioral measurement of how you deal with coworkers, how you deal with life, how you deal with pressure. And in order to answer those questions, like how would you deal with failure? When was the last time you had to motivate a team? Questions like that. They'll give you scenarios and you have to just talk through your experience of what it's like or what you did in that scenario. What they recommend is you follow this STAR, which is you describe the situation, you describe the task you're supposed to do, then you describe the actions that you took, and then you describe the result. This gives the interviewer a clear way of understanding how you dealt with that situation. And you don't want to ramble too much about all the little things. Just give them maybe like 1 or 2 sentences of the situation, 1 sentence of the task, maybe give more context of what actions you took and what the result is. These interviews, you also do project walkthroughs. So all the projects that you're listing on your resume, you'll just simply talk through them and talk about what tech you use, why you built it, what it is used for, all of that jazz. There's also system design, which is more like senior level positions. And there's also domain specific positions. So there's machine learning, human computer interaction. Machine learning is also grouped with AI. And LeetCode also provides these resources for you to go through all the machine learning fundamentals And system design, they have design, YouTube, design, Google Drive, and so on. If you guys have the time, I definitely recommend checking these resources out. Yeah, so this is just another tip here. Don't just apply to all these jobs and do nothing. You need to prep for them, and if you don't have anything to show, start on a side project, and if you don't know anything, then just learn it. And at some point when you're applying to these jobs, it's very easy to fall into this trap of imposter syndrome, where you've gone through all your studies and you're applying to all these jobs and you're getting a lot of rejections. So you start to question your ability of things that you know, but in reality, it's much more like this, where the things that you know and you think that are useful, they might not align with what the recruiter is just looking for. So you just might not fit the specific requirements of the job and what they want. So just hold yourself high. Keep improving on your skills, your projects that you're learning. And like on the side here, I just included a list of all the different tools that I've seen that were pretty consistent through all these roles, like web developer. Everyone's looking for like a modern framework of React and Angular. JavaScript was on there, some database like SQL, NoSQL, cloud, work with cloud infrastructure. If you do system design, you could build a scalable API, Ruby on Rails, which is, I know, is getting popular, as well as Go. If you want a job in artificial intelligence and machine learning, these are the top things you need to put on your resume. Python, NLP, and large language models, those are really popular right now. You probably need to know like how to fine tune these language models. You need to know what RAG is, how to set up an API to host these language models that you're building. If you have some publications and you're going into AI, it would be good if you got accepted to these conferences, ACL, ICML, AAA, AI, and newer IPS. And if you're going for a more user interface and user experience kind of job, then these tools like Figma, Canva, Adobe Illustrator, and publish in human-computer interaction types of conferences. Okay. Yeah, and then if you find a job, if the job that you're looking for, you could do like a quick search on like LinkedIn and Indeed and see what kinds of skills and technologies is needed in those areas. And then you go out and then you learn those skills and technologies. Yeah, if you want to join our Discord, this is only meant for our laboratory, but if you are also like a struggling software engineer trying to find a job and you want other struggling software engineers or network, you could join our Discord here, and here are all the channels that we have. Okay, alright. Okay, that's it for this video. Hopefully this didn't scare you guys away too much. Finding a tech job is definitely very difficult, at least for me in the past couple months. Fortunately for me, I've gotten a full-time role working at the university as well as working with a startup. And the reason why I'm making this YouTube channel is because I don't want to fall into the same situation where I'm unable to find a job and I have nothing else to catch me if I ever lose my position. And starting this YouTube channel, I'm hoping that there are, in the future, I could start monetization, building up my business, maybe build up a following and get to know what people want on this channel. And then hopefully I'll be able to have this YouTube channel support me in the future. But yeah, that's the reason for this YouTube video. If you like this style of video, I'm just giving some unscripted, real knowledge on things that I went through. Or if you want to know more about looking for a job, you can let me know in the comment below. And yeah, stay tuned for my next video. Thanks.